Looks like we got a Saturday delivery, guys, and today we got a package from Extreme Online Store. Mika is, well, sort of jazzed. Let's go ahead and open this up. What did we get? I always love Saturday deliveries, but this was totally unplanned. I was like, oh, sweet. Maybe I'll have the weekend off. But no, instead I get to install really cool things. Let's see what we got. I guess you guys already know because it's in the description, but I think I know what these are. These are definitely the winglets. So that's the winglets for the side here. And it looks like we're getting a new front splitter. Hey, Mika. Again, she's investigating. She isn't sold yet. We still have to open it up first, right? It's a good thing you're cute, you know. Do you want to open it? So if you order the 3.5 splitter here, it would come with just these bad boys. But if you want a little bit more aggression, then what you do is you get that. You go ahead and you get the winglets for the sides. I'm going to be installing the winglets. I can't wait to try it out. Again, it comes with its own separate hardware. Now, one thing we're going to end up needing for this is a riveting tool. So if you don't have a riveting tool and you've ordered these, make sure that you purchase one. They're not too expensive, but you're going to need one. Your front door, take your jack puck because we're going to have to jack up your vehicle. And right under the front door is the spot where you have to put it in and then twist. And again, door seam. And then we're gonna have to do the same with the rear. In my case, only because I use my motorcycle jack to lift it a little bit. And then from there, I lift it with my bigger jack. If yours is low profile enough to get underneath there, have at her and just use your one jack puck. So I'm gonna slide the next one in there. Lift it a tiny bit with my motorcycle jack, again on the jack puck. And then if you're wondering about the jack pucks, that's what they look like when they're in. And then you just line your jack up underneath them and only jack up on that spot. And then I'll show you where you're gonna put your jack stand afterwards. But you're fine from this point, just jack up your car and monitor it as you do so. Once you get a jack stand underneath there, again, what you wanna do is put it on the center of that brace right there. Put it right in the center. Once you do that, you can back your camera off and then just slowly bring it down and it'll actually level the car out. I always like to leave my jack in here as well as the jack stand. This is just for security stuff in case it slips. Hopefully that caught some of the action. If you're like me and you use this, make sure you leave this here so that way you have it still positioned for when you lower the car down later. I like to leave my jack in position just in case. And then we have our jack stand that's supporting in the center. And as you've seen, I'm sure in that last clip, it leveled the car out. That's a really cool thing about this car. So we have one jack stand in the front and now we're ready to go and work on the front splitter. So we're gonna have to go ahead and remove all these small 7 or 8 mil screws. I'll figure that out after, but first we wanna pop out these pop rivets. So again, just in like that. Just like that. See how I pushed it through? So from here, you can wiggle it around a little bit. When you're doing that, make sure you're adding some resistance with the other hand, so that way when it does pop through, you don't go like right into something. I usually put my hand like right here, so like I said, I'll feel it go through and it just doesn't do anything. Now, some people prefer the drill method. So if you're like, Rich, you know what? I like your idea, but I'd really rather use a drill. So size up a drill bit that just fits on the inside of that opening and then drill up. And again, you should just be able to drill just off like that. And careful, don't be going ham and drilling in there super quick. Otherwise you're gonna go through the rivet and into something else, which is what you really don't wanna do. And that's how you do it. From the farthest side over, put on your 7 mil. Go ahead and just loosen these bolts out. And do that. If I can offer one piece of advice, leave the 2 or 3 in the center last. Go and do all the corner ones so that way you can hold on to the center when you pull out the center bolt and you have it balanced in your hands so you can move this guard off safely. Since we're using double-sided sticky tape and we won't be able to completely line that up properly, what I would suggest we do is throw that 7 or 8 mil back on there. I think it's in at 7. Yes, it is. Go ahead, remove those last 2 screws and get these little scrapers out of the way for right now, so that way we can put the 1 screw in on that side, then we'll go to the far side and put the other screw in, and then put the one in the center, and we can't completely just drop it in with these in the way. You'd have to slide it in, which is going to mess up your double-sided sticky tape. Once all the screws are out, just grab it and kind of wiggle it out, and she's free. Put it off to the side, and the next thing we're going to have to do is, well, of course, clean this up. We want to start with a fresh surface. So we're gonna grab a rag and some water or some soap, and we're gonna clean this up so that way we're mating to a smooth surface, but we need to get these rivets out the back. So what we need to do is, there's this little cover right here. Go and take out these 10s right here so we can remove this cover in the center and get in there to pull out all these rivets. So, like I said, all you do is you pull out those bolts and literally it slips out and out. After that, let's go ahead and clean this up, and if there's anything in here you want to clean up, you can. Only time you're ever going to be looking down here probably. And once we do that, like I said, just reach up and in here and you should be able to grab those pieces out. So like I said, once you get that piece out, you should be able to just reach in here. You might have to press a little bit here, but you can grab them just by putting your fingers actually in between here and there. I've already got a few of them out. Oh, let's see right here. And like I said, all you do is stick your fingers in there, got one out. So just fingers into the lip like that, feel it out and pull it out. Go ahead after you clean it, slide this back in so make sure those 4 tabs are still clipped in there, the speed clips. And you can go ahead, slide it back in here, put it up here, and then tie them in. There's no real torque spec. Just make sure that they're in there nice. It's just a nice plastic cover. Slide this back in, make sure you can still see all 4 speed clips in the hole, and then you can go ahead and just tighten these ones up. Just like that. Again, you do not want to be going to the wall with these. If you took them out with an impact, when you put them back, just like 1 click, because if you start going nuts, what's gonna end up happening is you're gonna break those speed clips. Just like that. Okay, let's go get the new splitter ready. Something tells me we're gonna require some double-sided sticky tape, and then after the double-sided sticky tape, as we're sticking it on, we're gonna put these screws in lightly. Don't just go and squeeze them down. And then we're gonna line up all our pop rivets before we actually pop them in. If I'm honest, you could probably do this without the double-sided sticky. I'm gonna try it with, and I might end up removing it, just because that's all your factory one was held on with, was pop rivets and screws. Isn't that right, Mika? So looking at these, I can see we have some screws for all different scenarios. We have some self-tappers and some non-self-tappers right here. I'm gonna leave these off to the side. I'm not gonna be using pretty much any of this. This would probably be what replaces these. I think I'm gonna just stick with these 7 mils because I would prefer those over Phillips. Phillips is too easy to strip out. These are gonna last way longer. Our speed clips are already in there for them. We might as well use them, and they're longer than this. These self-tappers must be for other scenarios where maybe, I couldn't tell you really. But we're not using them on the Grand Sport. Maybe if yours doesn't have the speed clips so you can self-tap into your bumper, I'd rather not do that since I've already got the clips in there. So that's what that would be for. So if you don't have those screw holes underneath the vehicle, chances are you're supposed to use self-tappers. Personally, if I were you, look at how long these are. I would be getting longer self-tappers again, still a great product. You could use these. They just seem a little bit short. They look like they'll just make it through and then maybe bite one, maybe two threads. And then those could strip out extremely easy. So if you're gonna use those, you go very slow, and I'd almost try and thread it in with a screwdriver, because that way when they bite, you're not gonna have any chance of heating up the screw and stripping out the plastic the moment it hits it. So let's explain our plan one more time, because it's super important to have a plan laid out. What you wanna do is peel off that double-sided sticky tape. After you do so, we're gonna lift it up. We're going to put the screw in here first. Then you're gonna go to the far side and do the exact same thing. So you have your two corners done. Do not tie them in, leave them nice and loose. After that, come to the center and do the exact same thing. So tie the screws in, like I said, maybe one or two threads, and then try and get in as many as you can, so that way when we sink the double-sided sticky tape up, it's going to work flawlessly. Now, where I think we're gonna have some issues is when we go to put our rivets in, but what I wanna do is just see if this is going to line up and do what we want. So like I said, first this one, then our center one. Doesn't look like we're reusing those little side scrapers. As you can see, when you put this piece on, it just sits right there and it covers those speed clips. So again, you could probably modify it to make it work if you really wanted to, but we're looking good all around. I can't really show you this side because there's no light, but if you leave those screws loose, you should be able to line this up, and the double-sided sticky tape is already holding that front end really, really well. So from this point, we're gonna go ahead and put in our pop rivets. So let's go ahead and take a look at a few of them, and then I'll line one up and show you how they work. So the best thing to do is take your screwdriver, stick it in these pop rivet holes to line it up, just like that. And now you can move it around if need be. You should be able to move it a little bit so you can center it. Then what we're gonna do is take this, slide it in the hole, and again, you can always gauge it with bigger screwdriver shafts. And then we're gonna slide that in, and then we're gonna use our riveting tool. So like I said, get that all worked out and then slide that into the hole. So as you can see, it's sitting flush. I'm pressing up on this. If you want to, what you can do, if you want to be able to line these all up at once, you just go through here and slide these in, and see how I'm moving that one too, which is good. You can go ahead and pull this out afterwards. Slide that one in. Just like that. Make sure they're sitting flush. After you do that, make sure you're using the right tip. See, I have 3 different sizes. This one actually fits in my biggest size tip. I just press up, and as pressing, do that.
What it's done now is it's compressed it, and see how I can't wiggle it anymore, can't pull it out? What it's done is it's pulled it back and squeezed that rivet shut. So again, we're gonna do that one more time for you. Go over here, stick it up, and squeeze. I like to put a little bit of pressure on it. You don't have to if you don't want to. All right, now that we've gone ahead and done that, so for cutting these shafts, you need a pair of pliers that kind of look like this, and you just do that. Now, in a better world, you would have smaller ones, and what would you end up doing is just going into the cup and making them sealed with the body. Now, I probably have something. I'm gonna go through my box. I just wanted to show you how this works. Basically, just make them at least flush with this so they're not gonna scrape on anything. Mind you, they might work as a new scraper for you. I'll leave it up to you. Anyways, go ahead, trim these up, and then after you do that, go ahead and tighten down all these screws. So now you're at a crossroads. What one do you use, right? I mean, chances are you paid extra for the wings. So let's take a quick look. Hey, Mika, what if we went with this guy? How would that look? Would you go with that? Do you think you could do that? I could probably do that. That actually looks really, really fly. But that being said, I really want to see it with the wings. So that's one way. And let's see it with the wing. Watch out, Mika. I need your opinion on this. Let's say this wraps around the tire there. We gotta pull the screws out still, and we hold that up for a sec. Wow. That's aggressive. I like it. I really, really like it. Okay. So I don't drop it, I'm gonna go and put this back for a sec. Let's pull out those T screws right there. 1, 2, looks like we need to pull out 3 of them. So what you would do is grab 3 of those big black screws. If you're using this, put this on right here and tie them into there. I would actually throw on a little bit of the double-sided sticky tape in between these just to give it a little bit more support. I mean, those are some pretty strong screws, but still. Anyways, that would go right there. You would tie them in, use a very tight fitting Allen key, because if you strip those heads, you're gonna notice them and you'll have to use black nail polish or some black spray paint on a Q-tip and paint the heads after. But anyways, you would go right here, use a little bit of Loctite, tie those 3 screws in, and you're done. For me, since I'm using the winglets, we're gonna go ahead, like I said, pull those out, and we might have to shift our tire out of the way, which is easy. We just gotta put our car into service mode and turn the wheel left and right. But Rich, how do I put my car into service mode? Well, that's easy. Unlock, open your door, make sure it's still unlocked, put your finger on the start button, count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are now in service mode. You can now turn your tire, and what you can actually do is leave your fob in here, close the door, and go ahead and pull out those torque screws now. Go ahead, clean the space so that way we know that's clean, that's clean. If you want to, throw a little bit of double-sided sticky tape on. I'm not going to, but after that, throw a little bit of blue Loctite on these 3 screws right here and just finger tighten them in a little bit, just like this. And then what you're gonna do after you just lightly thread these guys in, actually you could even do more than that, we're going to take that piece and slide it on, because if you look at the bottom of the wing, it's got little notches, so it'll actually just sit on top of here, and then you'll tighten these on to hold them. Well, so go ahead, prepare these screws. By the way, if you're wondering, how did they get threads in here? They did kind of like what they did in the body of the vehicle. They used rib nuts. So what they did is they drilled it out, then it goes in, and then it barbs inside of there and creates a socket piece. So that's actually another thing you could do, is if you got some really small rib nuts, but you know what, those rivets are easy to put in, and no, why would you change them? Anyways, go grab the wing and slide it in like I did earlier, just slide it in. Making sure you clear the screws, just bring it down and in just like that. If I were you, go ahead, tie those T15s in first a little bit, then we're gonna hold it straight like this and tie in the Allen keys from the bottom. I think I'm using like a 5/32 Allen key. Yeah. Go in from the bottom, tighten and watch your gap here as it comes together. Do not put much torque on these. You don't want to strip out those riv nuts. Holy smokes, take a look at that. What a difference. Just coming around the side here. I love it. That looks insane. It's literally turning into the Batmobile. Once I get the rest of the 3.5 stuff, it'll look great. So that's gonna be the look. I still have to get the side skirts, still have to get the rear tail. I'm debating if I'm gonna do high up winglets or if we're gonna go with a full ZR1 wing. I think I'm gonna do the ZR1 wing. I think that'll look insane. All that water pouring out. That's from the exhaust. If you want to see my exhaust video, I did that last week, so definitely go take a look. Let's go ahead and lower this thing back onto the ground so we can get a good view of it. Hey, Mika? She's like, are you done yet? Come on, Dad. Thanks again to Extreme Online Store. I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the description to this 3.5 splitter. If you're interested, go click the link. I'm absolutely in love with it. It looks insanely good. One thing I love also about what they did with this kit, they give you a lot of extra 3M, holy smokes. So you're gonna have a lot of extra double-sided sticky. Anyways, that is your final look. Again, when lowering it, just make sure that you have your device back there to keep the back end higher when you pull your jack out, if you need one like I did. If not, and you have that super low profile jack, you're gonna be fine. Lower it and pull it out, and that's about all there is to this. I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for more of the 3.5 kit. Again, I have that so far. I'm going to do the side skirts next, and then we're gonna do a wing, I think. Whether we do winglets or a big wing off the back, we will see. Thanks again for watching. Press a like if it helped you out. Subscribe for more.